Hello, this is Ryanne Davis, and this is my second submission for the Associate Trainer program, where I will be continuing my discussion of my training with the horse Ariel, who is a 16-year-old Arabian that I've been working with Art2Ride for just shy of a year at the point of this training session here today. So you can see here that we start off in the work in hand, and you can also see that she starts off pretty slow here in the work in hand warm-up, which is pretty typical for this horse. She's one of these that have been severely damaged from being ridden hollow and upside down, with her nose pinned to her chest for most of her life. So she tends to be one of these rehab horses that I really have had to take my time with, because it's been quite a journey to get her to work over her back. And so she actually was one that I couldn't do work in hand with for quite a long time, because she would just run around, and couldn't really get any good use out of the work in hand work, and so I would just lunge this horse before I ride. But you can see here that she's much more under control in the work in hand, and she's really relaxed and is able to stretch out all the way and just focus on loosening up and really concentrating on getting to good work. And so again, I allow her to be pretty slow in the beginning, because if I start asking this horse on too soon, she starts rushing the walk and it becomes very lateral and not through her back. So I don't want that, so I've found that I've had to go pretty slowly with this horse, and really give her that time to warm everything up. Even though she's a little horse, she still has, 1,000 pounds to push around. So I just allow her that time to just relax and just be happy to be here, and just really start to find a rhythm and start to find a stride. So you can see by the time that we ride today, that she will be much more warmed up and active by the time that she's carrying my weight on her back. So I don't worry about her being so slow in the beginning, because I know that she's going to warm up as she goes along and get that much more active step going. And so she just requires this really relaxed, slow work in the beginning. So you can see she starts to warm up a little tiny bit at a time. This is not a horse that's just suddenly going to start working through her back and really having an active step just all of a sudden. She really takes her time to get there, and so we're not in any hurry. I just allow her to take the time she needs and just relax. And I really like that this horse used to hate coming out to work, but now you can see she's really calm and really happy to be here, because I am really patient with her and allow her to really find the correct muscling, and take the time that she needs to do that, rather than sort of trying to rush her into her best stride. That's much too difficult for her. So you can see she starts to warm up a little bit here and starts to move a little bit more forward as we continue on here. It's not the most active step she's ever going to have, but that's okay. Once again, I just, whatever she can get to. So since she became a little more active there, that's when I quit on that day. And this is actually a different day. And so you can see this is probably a couple of days later. And so you can see here when she begins in the lunge work, she is a little bit more active and a little bit more loose when she begins here today. And with this horse, it's been sort of up and down. like that, where some days she'll be really stiff and really slow and just she can hardly warm up and hardly move. And then there are other days when she's quite loose and relaxed and able to just get going right away. So, you know, I just sort of see what each day brings, and just do my best to be patient with her and prepare her to work over her back and propel herself as best she can every day. So here you can see we start in the walk, and again she's a little bit looser in her hind end. She's not quite as stiff, and she looks like she's going somewhere just a little bit more than she was before in the work in hand. So again, I still allow her to start off pretty slow and really develop her stride and develop her rhythm and where she's comfortable. So that by the time I get to riding, she's not, you know, totally overworked and tired. And so I really like that this horse finds her own rhythm. She's consistent. She's really relaxed. She's stretching throughout the entire session. And so that's really what I look for as I warm a horse up. She has a nice release there where she shakes everything out, which this horse does a lot of as she gets warmed up. So this is all good. We're just taking our time, and I'm looking for her hips to really start to loosen up, and I'm looking for her to really take a 4-beat stride in the walk. Like I said, she can get really rushy in the walk, where her walk becomes sort of lateral, which I don't want. I really want her to take that nice, true, genuine 4-beat step to the walk, which can be difficult for this horse because she's used to sort of running around, and so sometimes it can be easier for this horse to trot, and I think it's because the trot is 2 beats, which means that the weight of the horse is shared by the 2 diagonal pairs at the same time, whereas the walk is 4 beats, and so that means that each leg has a moment in which it's responsible for propelling the horse forward, and so that can actually be really difficult. Especially when a horse is injured and they're not balanced and they're not stretched over their backs, the walk can easily it becomes easier to just rush the walk and try to share the weight of the walk with you know, multiple legs rather than each leg individually taking that stride. So we've actually spent a lot of time in the trot because she finds that to be easier, and so so we go ahead and spend a lot of time there. If that's where the horse finds, you know, her best work, then that's the gait that we're going to spend the majority of the time doing, whatever's easiest for her. So she has a really nice trot. You can see she's starting to swing and open up a little bit, and so her trot actually improves her walk and helps her to develop that strength so that she can actually walk with each of her 4 legs equally. So you can see here that she's nice and relaxed. She's starting to bob her head a little bit and loosen up in her poll. This was a horse that was broken over in the 3rd vertebra, and so she was ridden with contact behind the vertical. And so it's taken her quite a while to loosen up her poll, which only stretching can do. The horse can't really loosen up their poll any other way. And so you can see she still has a little bit of a bump where that break was in the 3rd vertebra, but that's starting to heal up really nicely as she continues to develop. It takes quite a while for that to really heal up in the neck. So you can see here that she's taking a really nice stride. She's really starting to reach with her hind legs and with her shoulders as well. to really propel herself forward, which is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that nice swing in the hips, the diagonal pairs to be swinging in synchronization, to be swinging together. And I'm also looking for her shoulder to sort of free up and really find the full range of motion, so that it's not sort of stiff and just kind of, pulling the horse along. But it's really sort of swinging along as well, just like the hips are. So it's not just about necessarily just the hind end, it's about the entire horse sort of propelling forward. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for everything to just be flowing forward, including the nose. I want that nose to be poking outwards and forwards, rather than coming out behind, or coming back behind her. So you can see that she got to a really good place in the trot. So I asked her back down to a walk, and you can see that she likes to trot better than she likes to walk, like I said. So it takes her a little while to come to that transition, but that's okay. I let her take her time into the transition. I don't get mad at her for not obeying right away, because I do want her to sort of go into the transition, to sort of go down into the walk rather than sort of halting into the walk. So that's all fine, and I let her take her time in transitions and really in everything that we do. I really want her to do things well rather than I don't know, perfectly or on demand or anything like that. So you can see too that her circles are a little bit wider than they were if you refer back to my first submission. This horse used to run around me in really tight little tiny circles, and now she's starting to make much larger circles, and she did make much larger circles actually going to the right, which we just were doing, than she does going to the left. Which happens. Horses are unbalanced, and it's easier to bend in one direction or the other. And so going to the right, it's a little bit easier for her to bend, because she can make a larger circle and really do that well. And so when horses make little tiny circles, it really means that they're evading bending. You can see she kind of looks to the outside a little bit. So I kind of gradually ask her hindquarters out. I don't do it in, one fell swoop. I am very gradual in asking those hindquarters to kind of go away from me a little bit with my whip. And so you'll see that her circles will get a little bit larger as she goes along. And that's really where she's going to be able to develop her bend, is by making a really large circle and really stretching her back out and really elongating so that she can increase that space in her spine and then really bend through her back, rather than sort of, folding over in the neck or, looking to the outside or doing all sorts of things to evade bend or to sort of pretend like she's bending, but she's really not, or make it look like she's bending, but she's not. And again, it's a little bit more difficult to bend on the left side, so I'm not looking for any perfect bend. I'm not going to wait for the perfect bend and then stop. I'm just going to wait for something that's better than it was before, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back to the walk. So I'm never looking for perfection at any time. I'm just looking for her to get to a good place for her for today. And so this is quite good. You can see her walk is loosening up there as she really propels herself forward and gets a little bit more mobile throughout her body. So this is a good place to get to in a warm-up on the lunge. So now I am going to ride her in a separate video. So that's coming up in just a moment. You'll see our ride for today. So see you in a second.